Vyasaya Amita Tejase Vyasaya Amita Tejase Naradaha Praha Munaye Sarasvatyastate Nripa Dhyayate Brahma Paramam Vyasayamita Tejase Naradaha Praha Munaye Sarasvatyastate Nripa Dhyayate Brahma Paramam Vyasayamita Tejase
Narada Praha Munaye Sarasvatyastate Nripa Dhyayate Brahma Paramam Vyasayamita Tejase
Some boys. Oh, they changed. Naradaha, the great sage Narada, Praha, instructed, Munaye, unto the great sage, Sarasvatyaha, of the river Saraswati, Tate, on the bank, Nripa, O king, Dhyayate, unto the meditative, Brahma, absolute truth, Paramam, the supreme, Vyasaya, unto Srila Vyasadeva, Amita, unlimited, Tejase, unto the powerful. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In succession, O King, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam unto the unlimitedly powerful Vyasadeva, who meditated in devotional service upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, on the bank of the river Saraswati. Translation with repetition. In succession, O King, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam unto the unlimitedly powerful Vyasadeva, who meditated in devotional service upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, on the bank of the river Saraswati. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the 5th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada instructed the great sage Vyasadeva as follows. Atho Mahabhaga Bhavanamo Gadrik Shuchishravaha Satyarato Dhritavrataha Urukramasyakhila Bandhamuktaye Samadhinanusmaratadvicheshtitam. O greatly fortunate, pious philosopher, your name and fame are universal, and you are fixed in the absolute truth with spotless character and infallible vision. I ask you to meditate upon the activities of the personality of Godhead, whose activities are unparalleled. So in the disciplic succession of the Brahma Sampradaya, the practice of yoga, meditation, is not neglected. But because the devotees are bhakti yogis, they do not undertake the trouble to meditate upon the impersonal Brahman. As indicated here, they meditate on Brahma Paramam, or Supreme Brahman. Brahman realization begins from the impersonal effulgence, but by further progress of such meditation, manifestation of the Supersoul, Paramatma realization takes place. And progressing further, realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fixed. Sri Narada Muni, as the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, knew very well the position of Vyasadeva. And thus he certified the qualities of Srila Vyasadeva as fixed in the absolute truth with great vow, etc. Narada advised meditation upon the transcendental activities of the Lord. Impersonal Brahman has no activities, but the personality of Godhead has many activities, and all such activities are transcendental, without any tinge of material quality. If the activities of the Supreme Brahman were material, then Narada would not have advised Vyasadeva to meditate upon them. And the Param Brahma is Lord Shri Krishna, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna realized the factual position of Lord Krishna, he addressed Lord Krishna in the following words. Param Brahma Parandhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum Ahustvam Rishayah Sarve Devarshir Naradastatha Asito Devalo Vyasaha Swayam Chaiva Bhavishimi. Arjuna summarized the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita by his realization of Lord Shri Krishna and thus said, My dear personality of Godhead, you are the supreme absolute truth, the original person in the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, And this is confirmed by Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasadeva, and above all, your personal self has also confirmed it. When Vyasadeva fixed his mind in meditation, he did it in Bhakti Yoga trance and actually saw the Supreme Person with Maya, the illusory energy, in contraposition. As we have discussed before, the Lord's Maya or illusion is also a representation because Maya has no existence without the Lord. Darkness is not independent of light. Without light, no one can experience the contraposition of darkness. However, this Maya or illusion cannot overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but stands apart from Him, apashrayam. Therefore, perfection of meditation is realization of the personality of Godhead along with His transcendental activities. Meditation on the impersonal Brahman is a troublesome business for the meditator, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Kleshodhikataras tesham avyakta sakta chetasam. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading these verses from 2nd Canto, chapter 9, called Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. This is in the context of the Srimad Bhagavatam, how it was spoken in succession. That is why Prabhupada says, in succession, O King, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam. The previous verse said, Tasmaidam Bhagavatam Puranam Dashalakshanam Proktam Bhagavata Praha Pritaha Putraya Bhutakrit. Thereupon, the supplementary Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, which was described by the personality of Godhead and which contains 10 characteristics, was told with satisfaction by the father Brahma to his son Narada. So the Lord gave this instruction to Brahma. Brahma gave to Narada, is what is described in the previous verse. And in this verse, it is described further what Narada did. Naradaha praha munaye. Narada spoke to the sage. Munaye. Where was this Muni? Saraswatyas Tate. He was on the banks of Saraswati river. Tate, bank. Saraswatyas Tate. Nripa. This is Shukadev Goswami addressing Parikshit. So he's saying, King, O king. And how did he praha? Praha is instructed, spoke. How did Naradaha praha munaye saraswatyas thate nripha dhyayate brahma paramam? And this is referring to Muni, Munaye. Who is this Muni? Vyasaya. Vyasaya Munaye. And what was Vyasa doing? Dhyayate Brahma Paramam. He was meditating on Brahma Paramam. And yet another qualification of Vyasa, Amita Tejase. He was very powerful sage. Amita Tejase Munaye Vyasaya. Amita Tejase Munaye Dhyayate Brahma Paramam Saraswatyas Tate Vyasaya Naradaha Praha. To such a Vyasadeva who was on the banks of Saraswati meditating on Brahma Paramam, who is unlimitedly powerful, Amita Tejase, and a great sage. To him, Naradaha Praha. In succession, O king, Nrupa, the great sage, Naradaha, instructed Srimad Bhagavatam, Praha, unto the unlimitedly powerful Vyasadeva, Amita Tejase Vyasaya, who meditated in devotional service, Dhyayate Brahma Paramam, on the bank of the river Saraswati, Saraswatyas Thate. So basically this verse is saying Narada spoke this Bhagavatam to Vyasadeva. And who spoke to Narada about this? The previous verse tells that it was Brahma who spoke to Narada. Brahma's son is Narada. Brahma is the first created being. Everybody else is created after that. So Brahma's son is Narada. Brahma created many sages and many other human beings and so on. And so among the sages was Narada, and to such Narada, Brahma spoke. Now, how did Brahma get this knowledge? Lord spoke to him. That is also mentioned in the previous verse. Bhagavata Praha. This Bhagavatam, spoken by Bhagavan himself, was spoken by Narada, by Brahma to Narada, and now Narada spoke to Vyasa. And what are the attributes and qualities of Vyasa? All of that is described in this verse. So this is what is happening. And in the purport, what Srila Prabhupada does is, he takes another verse from the Bhagavatam, which is also describing in another context, in another situation. This is in second canto, but in the first canto, again there is a description, a little bit more elaborate description of what Narada told Vyasadeva. And that verse Srila Prabhupada is quoting in the purport. In the 5th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada instructed the great sage Vyasadeva as follows. So that's why Prabhupada is quoting a little bit more elaborately that qualifications of Vyasa and so on. Atho Mahabhaga Bhavan Amogadruk. This is in the first canto, Narada telling Vyasadeva. Mahabhaga, O greatly fortunate one. In Sanskrit, this Mahabhaga is a common way of addressing another great person. Mahabhaga, Bhavan Amogha Drik. Your drik, your vision is flawless. So, great sage, Vyasadeva, it's about Vyasa. Your vision is flawless. Bhavan Amogha Drik. Bhavan is yours. Shuchishravaha. And Shravaha, heard, it also means fame. Your fame is well known. Shuchishravaha. Let's see how Prabhupada translates it. Your name and fame are universal. Your fame is Shuchishravaha. Satyarataha. You are a person in pursuit of truth. You are a person fixed in truth. Dhritavrataha. And you are fixed in your vows. So you are in pursuit of truth. You are fixed in truth. And to achieve your pursuit of truth, you are also fixed in your vows. So in other words, pursuit of truth is not some frivolous activity, but he's very serious about it. Satyaratho dhritavrataha. Urukramasya akhila bandhamuktaye. Urukrama is a name for Krishna, one who performs extraordinary activities. Urukramasya akhila bandhamuktaye. In order to free all living entities, all kinds of living entities from bandhana, from bondage. Samadhina anusmara. In samadhi, anusmara, you reflect on, you meditate on, you remember, anusmara, smarana, smara, tad vicheshtitam, urukramasya vicheshtitam. You meditate on the activities of the Lord. This was the instruction Narada gave. So, combining these two different concepts mentioned in the two verses, Srila Prabhupada has elaborated in the purport. Very interestingly done. We will see this. In today's verse, we see in the third line, Dhyayate Brahma Paramam. Brahma means supreme. Brahma means not ordinary. Just like Prabhupada often mentions about Athato Brahma Jigyasa. In the human form of life, we must do Brahma Jigyasa. Jigyasa is enquiry. So, human beings have an extraordinary ability to inquire. And our ability to inquire is lot more than the ability of the animals. Animals also have the ability to inquire. But their ability to inquire is limited to ahara nidra bhayamaytunamscha samanyametat pashubhi narana. They can inquire about ahara, food, where will I eat, what will I eat, how will I eat. Nidra, How do I rest? Bhaya. How do I protect myself from fear? Because in this world there are always predators. In the animal world there are a lot of predators, and they have to protect themselves from. And Maithuna is mating. So among the animals too there is a mating, and so animals also conduct this inquiry about ahara nidra bhaya maithuna. So the Vedic literatures, the Vedic culture is urging human beings to go beyond this. In modern language they say we have to push the boundaries. So Vedic literatures also say you have to push the boundaries of inquiry beyond the boundary of animals, sphere of inquiry. And so the Vedic culture says athato brahma jigyasa. You inquire about the Supreme. In other words, ahara nidra bhayamaitunamscha samanyam etat pashubhinarana. Pashu and nara, both of them we have to do. It's not that we don't have to eat. We also have to inquire about eating. We have to also make arrangements for our safety, for our resting and mating and so on. It is understandable that these are necessities of life and one should make some reasonable arrangement for these things. But making arrangements for these things cannot become the central activity of human society. There is something more than that, which animals cannot do. So this is how Vedic civilization presents what is the engagement for civilization. Today, in the absence of this knowledge of Brahma Jigyasa, people think that we must organize this human civilization only in terms of these four activities, but we should do it in a grander way, better way, in a more elaborate way, in a more secure way, and so on. So, the center stage of human civilization today is ahara nidra bhaya maitunamscha. If they discover some new technology, science and technology, they will see how we can eat better with that technology, how we can sleep better with that technology, how we can defend ourselves with that technology, and how we can mate with that technology. If they discover something new, they want to, like you see, all these nice television screens and 4K and all those kind of things come up. What do they do with it? They use it for enhancing and promoting ahara nidra bhayamaitunamscha. Because they have no other idea. They build big cities to enhance and promote ahara nidra bhayamaitunamscha. They have no other idea. So, Vedic civilization is that you try to minimize the ahara nidra bhayamaituna, because pursuit of elaborate ahara nidra bhayamaituna entangles the living entity in illusion, thinking that is the only thing. Now, someone may ask, what is wrong with this? Ahara, nidra, bhayam, we should do that, we should enhance that, we should amplify it, we should do it on a grand scale. But the fact is, if your happiness and pleasure is based on these four things only, remember, these four things are dependent on the body, and the body is undependable. Some disease will come, we don't know. What disease will come when, we don't know. And then it ages. We have no control over that. Today we are one day older than we were yesterday. Tomorrow we'll be one day older more than we are today. We have no control on this. And lastly, this body one day dies. So it's on a very frail platform. This whole edifice of Ahara Nidra Bhaya Maituna is established. It can crumble any moment. And hence, it is not very dependable. And hence, very nicely Krishna says that, Nateshu Ramate Buddha. In the Gita, Krishna says, hence, intelligent people do not delight in them. Wise men don't delight in them. They accept them as a necessity of life, but don't make that as the central object of delight for ourselves in our life. We should look for a new domain of pleasure and happiness, which animals could not look for. And that is what the Vedic civilization is about. And only human beings can do that. Animals cannot discover the new domain of pleasure and existence. Only human beings have that intelligence to do that. So the word Brahma Jigyasa, inquire into the Supreme. So Brahman is the supreme truth, and it is a general word. But when one gets into more spiritual understanding, one can understand more about Brahman. Just like when we were small children and we would be naughty or something, mostly it happens, right? And mothers tell, I'll call the police. And then the child will get scared, right? And then, oh, police, drink milk. Oh, no, I don't want to drink. I'll call the police. Oh, the child will get scared, right? Simply use the word police. Suppose somebody grows up from childhood and then grows up and then becomes big person and then passes IPS. In our country we have IPS, right, for police services. And then he joins police service. Now when he is in the police service, then he understands police department means there are so many people, all called police. The man we see in the traffic lights and somebody is controlling traffic or whatever, he's also called police. Above him there's another boss, above him there's another boss, and then so many, all called police. So when the mother was talking to the child, mother didn't have to classify. She will call constable level or inspector level, circle inspector or superhead. She simply has to say police. For the child, that's enough. He'll get scared. So in the same way, the word Brahman is a general word that is used, Athatho Brahma Jigyasa, inquire into the Supreme. But now, for those who are seriously engaged in understanding the Supreme, then there is further understanding. There is Brahman, there is higher than Brahman, and there is the highest understanding of Brahman called Brahma Paramam. Now, one may ask, why is it for some people Brahman, or somebody higher than that, and someone highest Brahman? It depends on the ability of the person. For the small baby, you don't have to say, I'm going to call the superintendent of police, okay? Police is enough for the child. Child will drink milk. Don't have to go into all those levels of how many police, how many levels are there. Not necessary. In the same way, for those who are trying to, because the child, it's a baby, it's a small child, cannot understand so many things. That much is enough to get the child to drink some milk. But for a grown-up person who is an intelligent man, who passed all the IPS exam, for him he must know where he will be positioned in the police department, in the system there. Oh, you will be positioned here. And then you can go a few more layers higher in your life if you do well. If you don't do well, maybe you'll have to come down also. There are other levels also in police department. So this understanding is essential for a more educated man. In the same way, general words about Brahman, Athatho Brahma Jigyasa, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahma Asmi. This is another Vedic sutra. I am Brahman. Meaning, I am spirit. I am spiritual. I am not matter. Because right now, currently, we are associated with this body, which is matter. And so we define ourselves in terms of this body. We call ourselves men, women, age, in terms of age, in terms of nationality. We are Indians, they are Pakistanis. Like that, what is the difference between them and us? They are also looking for ahara, nidra, bhaya, maituna. We are also having the same ahara, nidra, bhaya, maituna. What is the difference between us and them? We have made a distinction like this. So, because we are born in India and they are born in another tract called Pakistan. Suppose there is a bird in the border. It was on a tree, sitting on a tree in India. Can we say that that bird is Indian bird now? After some time, the bird started flying, crossed over. Now it has become a Pakistani bird. You see? So this border, all these things we have made, and we who are born this side, somebody is born that side, we make these distinctions on the basis of the body. But actually, this body gets old, diseased, and dies like any other body on this side of the border or that side of the border. What we truly are is a spiritual being, which is common not only to Indians, Pakistanis, to birds, animals, insects. So, in our real existence, we are spiritual. That is the statement of that sutra, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Jada Na Asmi. Jada means matter. I am not this matter. Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that spiritual being who is inside this matter. That is why when we die, we go, body remains. But we were under the impression that I am the body. This is the basic illusion that we are subjected to. This understanding itself, only human consciousness can comprehend this. In animal consciousness, they cannot comprehend this. In animal consciousness, they can only pursue ahara, nidra, bhaya, maituna. In human life, we can pursue apart apart from the four, Brahma Jigyasa we can pursue. So, the basic understanding that I am spiritual and I must inquire into this spiritual truth is what Brahma Jigyasa is saying. Now, some people, broadly, this Brahma Jigyasa is in three levels. This truth, this higher truth is in three levels. This is what Bhagavatam says. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnana madvayam brahmeti paramatma iti bhagavan iti shabdhyate. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam. Tattva vidaha means those who are knowers of the truth. Vadanti, they say. About what? About tattvam. Tattvam vadanti. Who speaks? Tattva vidaha tattvam vadanti. Those who are knowers of the truth speak about the truth. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam. How can they speak? Because they are knowers of the truth. And what are they speaking about? The truth. Tattva vidaha tattvam vadanti. And how do they describe it? They describe it as Brahma iti, Paramatma iti, Bhagavan iti, Shabdhyate. In this way they describe, they sound or they describe. So, this truth is at three levels. There is the preliminary level of Brahman realization, next level of Paramatma realization, and the next level is the Bhagavan realization. All of them are considered to be part of the truth. And what is the difference between the three of them? In one sense, Advayam. They are all truth. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam. This understanding, there is no difference. It looks like we are speaking in contradiction. I said that there are three things, and then I say they are one. Then why did you say in the first place that there are three? Like if I tell I have got three brothers, and we are all one. What does that mean? So there is oneness. We don't fight with each other. We work cooperatively. But we have three individuals. So there is a oneness and there is three separateness also. In the same way, there is some similar oneness is there, and at the same time there is also difference. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced this doctrine of Bheda Abheda Tattva. When you are describing spiritual truth in the Vedic literatures, some aspects there is Abheda, there is no difference. In some aspects there is difference also. So there is simultaneously Bheda and Abheda in the Tattva, and in this way we must understand. This was one of the important things that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. So, now, why some people are taught Brahma knowledge, Brahma Tattva? Some people are taught Paramatma Tattva. Some people are taught Bhagavat Tattva. Bhagavat, the truth about Bhagavat. Bhagavat truth. Tattva means truth. The Brahman truth, the Paramatma truth, and Bhagavan truth. Why difference? It depends on the qualifications of the person. Just like a child, police is enough. When the man grows up, he will be placed here or here or here. He wants to know. Because he is more advanced and educated. He knows all these different things. In the same way, when one is more evolved spiritually, one is elevated to higher and higher understanding. And here, Prabhupada is pointing out in the purport, because here, Vyasa, what was he doing? He was not Brahma dhyayate, Brahma, he was not Paramatma dhyayate, he was Brahma Paramam dhyayate. He was in an advanced stage. That is why Amita Tejase, he was Amita Tejasa. He had spiritual power, spiritually very powerful. And he was Dhyayate Brahma Paramam. He was meditating on Brahma Paramam. And that is why Prabhupada is quoting this verse in the purport to point out more qualifications which Narada recognized. What was that? Atho Mahabhaga Bhavan Amogadrik. Your vision is perfect. Our vision is imperfect when we don't have the fully purified consciousness. Shuchishravaha Satyarataha Dhritavrataha. And hence Samadhina Anusmara. Samadhi itself is a very advanced stage. In fact, it is the 8th stage in the Ashtanga Yoga process. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Dharana, and so on. So these are the 8 stages. And the early stages are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. So, Samadhi is at an advanced stage. In other words, Vyasa was a candidate qualified to understand Brahma Paramam. And hence, he described to him this truth about Bhagavatam, which consists of Urukramasya Vicheshtitam, activities of that truth, of the supreme truth. In the early understanding of the supreme truth, one will only understand Brahman. Next level of understanding is Paramatma, and the next level is Bhagavan. This distinction. And Vyasa was very qualified, and so his guru, Narada, told him, you should meditate on the activities of Bhagavan, which is the highest level of the truth. What is Brahman? What is Paramatma? Brahman is just the recognition that there is something beyond matter, spirit, which we are basically trying to understand. We don't even understand that I am Brahman. We only think I am matter, my existence is at the body level of existence. No, I am beyond the body, I am spirit. The next realization is to realize that there is a Paramatma seated in our heart who is guiding us. Just like when you're trying to solve a problem and then you're thinking about it, suddenly you say, I got a solution for this. Right? Where did that solution? You try to search the origin of that solution in your mind. You cannot. It comes as a flash. Many intelligent, many stalwarts have acknowledged this. Some scientists said, I was thinking, he was working on the structure of some molecule. Suddenly I got this idea. There are music composers who say that I was thinking, what is the music? How do I? And suddenly I got this music, this note. And then I composed and it became very famous. I became very famous. It comes as an inspiration. The source of that is Paramatma in the heart. So there is an element of that absolute truth in the heart of every living entity. And beyond being the heart of every living entity and exhibiting the spiritual power, then there is a third aspect which is Bhagavan himself. And that Bhagavan is Shri Krishna. Now, very nice statement Prabhupada has made in the purport here. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna realized the factual position of Lord Krishna. Krishna appeared as a human being. He looked like a human being. He had 2 hands, he had 2 legs. And when he was a baby, he was crawling. His mother was looking after him, and then he slowly started growing up. He looked like a human being. And so a lot of people thought he was a human being. Kauravas thought, okay, he's a little powerful human being. Duryodhana thought, okay, he's a little powerful person. Arjuna, when he heard the 9 chapters of the Gita, and especially the 9th chapter, which is called the most confidential knowledge, where Krishna revealed his true self. Who am I? And then Arjuna realized the factual position of Lord Krishna, and he makes this statement. And what is that? Param Brahma Parandhama Pavitram Paramam Bhava Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. Arjuna used the same word Brahma Paramam, which is used in this verse. Dhyayate Brahma Paramam. Arjuna is saying Param Brahma, inverted this way. Param Brahma, Parandhama, Brahma Paramam, Dhama Parama, Pavitram Purusham Bhava, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam. So Krishna appears as a human being, but he is not one of us. He remains in his transcendental, supreme position, although he appears amidst us. And so, this was the realization. And then another sentence is there. Arjuna summarized the purpose of Bhagavad Gita in his realization of Lord Shri Krishna, and thus said. Actually, Bhagavad Gita is being spoken by Krishna. One of the important things Krishna is conveying is about his true position, his factual position. Very often when we talk about Krishna, people say, oh, Krishna, he had so many gopis, he was having flirting with the gopis. They think just like common men do, common people do. No, it is not. Gopis were great devotees. They were descending from the spiritual world. Krishna himself is the supreme Purusha, Parama Purusha, who had descended from the spiritual world. And they were great devotees, and they were serving Krishna in different ways. They wanted to serve Krishna. And so to think that Krishna was just like any other human being, flirting with women, this is wrong. That is why Krishna, when it was required, he lifted the Govardhan hill, which no ordinary man can do. He can't even lift a big table or things like that. Krishna could lift the Govardhan hill. So, Arjuna summarized the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. How did he summarize? By his realization of Lord Shri Krishna and his position. This is the most important thing that we must always recognize and remember. Krishna appeared amongst us, but he was not just an ordinary human being. He was Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam. He's a Shashvata Purusha. None of us are Shashvata Purusha. We get old and we die and we have to move on. Krishna is an eternal person. In fact, it is also said, Prabhupada points out, this is an important thing, many times people don't know. When Krishna came from Dwaraka to assist the Pandavas and the Kauravas and the war and the differences they were having, and Pandavas were trying to get back the kingdom and Kauravas were not giving. When that was happening, Krishna had grandsons in Dwaraka, not just sons, he was grandfather already. So when he came to Kurukshetra and took part in the battlefield, but we don't see Krishna as an old man driving the chariot. He's always depicted still as a young man, because Krishna never ages beyond 16, 15 or 16. His body is transcendental. His body doesn't age. Our body ages. Just see how there is a difference between Krishna's personality and our personality. Krishna's persona and our persona. He's a different person. He's a person like us, but a different category of person. And this supreme personality understanding is for the most elevated spiritualists. And Vyasadeva was such an elevated spiritualist, and hence Narada, recognizing, he's my disciple. I see he has all these qualities. He has Amogadrik, he is Shuchishravaha, he is Satyaratha, and he is Dhritavrataha. And hence he's so qualified, he should meditate on the highest aspect of the truth, which is the Bhagavan. And what is the aspect of that Bhagavan? One of the activities, Bhagavan has a form, Bhagavan has attributes, Bhagavan has leelas, activities. Brahman has no form. Brahman has no attributes. Brahman has no activities. It is the preliminary understanding of the spiritual manifestation. Then that spiritual truth is manifested in a localized form in the heart of every living entity, and that is called Paramatma. Paramatma has activities. What is his activities? Guiding the living entities who are misdirected in the material world, with a hope that one day the living entity can be brought back to the spiritual world. He's active in the material world, in the heart of every living entity, giving knowledge, giving remembrance. So Paramatma is active. Paramatma has form. Paramatma has attributes. But they are to a limited extent. That same truth in full form is Bhagavan. And in Bhagavan also there are two levels. There is the Vishnu and there is Sri Krishna. In one sense there is no difference. But in another sense, Krishna is much more intimate. Vishnu is more formal. These are further differences. So like this, Bhagavatam is presenting this truth. And so this is the knowledge spoken by the Lord about himself to Brahma. Brahma spoke this and elaborated that to Narada, and Narada further elaborated this to Vyasa. And Vyasa further elaborates this to his son Shukadeva Goswami. And so on. In this way, this knowledge is coming down. This is what Prabhupada is trying to present in this verse. We'll stop here. Any questions? Yes?
Hare
or how do you, I'm asking, how do they know he got Shanti?
Yes, they pray that इनकी आत्मा को शांति मिले. So
Okay, pray. Okay. Remember Krishna. So it begins with approaching a spiritual master and hearing from him and practicing the various instructions he gives. And when we practice, gradually one important thing happens. Our heart gets cleansed gradually of all the impurities which have accumulated. And when one's heart gets purified, gradually, even with a certain amount of purification, one becomes very fixed. This is how Rupa Goswami describes. Adho Shraddha. Initially there is a preliminary faith. Yes, I should understand spiritual life. What is the spiritual life? So many sadhus, they all practice this. What is this? So that is called Shraddha. And then, if we are having that Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha. According to our Shraddha, we will get an opportunity to associate with sadhus. And even that Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha, if one is very, very purely trying to understand, depending on one's sincere search, sincere Shraddha, and also it requires good fortune, we will meet the right sadhus. Otherwise, we'll meet some sadhus who can elevate us to some extent. If you're very fortunate, one can meet a sadhu who can elevate us to the highest extent. Take us on a fast track. Otherwise, we may come across a sadhu who will take us from here to here, this life, next life, here to here, next life, here to here, little by little, life after life. If we are fortunate, we may meet a sadhu who has the ability to take us here straight. That is why, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process. Prabhupada gave the example. We want to go from floor 1 to 100th floor. You can go around looking how to go to the 100th floor. There will be one staircase. You can climb up. After climbing 5 floors, 10 floors, how many more 100 floors are there? Okay. This life over. Next life I will continue. He'll continue from the 5th, 10th floor. He'll travel next another 10 floors. For the 10th floor to 10 and a 20th floor, you need another kind of sadhu who can help you take from 10th to the 20th floor. When you go to the 10th, 20th floor and maybe you will die, then in the next life you need a sadhu who will take you from the 20th floor to the 30th floor. If you are fortunate when you are at the ground floor, one sadhu will come and say, don't take the staircase. Come, I'll show you, it's an elevator. This is what Krishna came to teach, but many people didn't understand this. Krishna spoke this, still people didn't understand. That is why Krishna was regretting. Very few people understood what I am trying to say. Pandavas understood. They took the benefit. And there were a few more devotees who understood this. But by and large, people didn't understand. And so Krishna decided to come again as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he did not come this time with chakra, with all those visible things, so that one can identify him as God. He simply came bringing the holy name. See? So this is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates and he brought the holy name and told everyone chant, you will become purified. This chanting of the holy name, one of the one of the effects Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says is Sarva Shubha Udaya. It brings all auspicious, Sarva Shubhodaya. It brings all auspiciousness, it brings all good fortune, and enables us to take the lift process. So, by practicing Krishna consciousness, we learn the art how to think of Krishna always, even when we are doing many other activities. Like Arjuna knew how to think of Krishna when he was fighting in a battlefield. Fighting in a battlefield is not easy. In that situation, Arjuna was always, of course Krishna was always with him, and he was a Nitya Siddha, Nitya Mukta devotee. So, gradually we can learn the process of how to remember Krishna. And what was your second? Why when people die, that is a good sentiment. We all feel, oh, somebody has passed away, whatever he or she is. At least now, may he have the Shanti. That Param Shanti is only at the lotus feet of Krishna. No other state is Shanti. But it is everybody's good wish. May he go. Let him have Shanti. Like that. So, that is a pious, good, well-meaning prayer of vision, a prayer of everyone. May somebody get. But will he really get? Depends on his activities he has performed. He or she has performed in this life based on that. So, with this, we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Shri Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Shri Prabhupada ki.